Hi everyone and welcome. I'm Diane and my passion is painting and creating nature-inspired watercolours in my studio, which are easy for you to do too. I share all my paintings with you on YouTube, and on our website dianeantone.com you can find free downloadable sketches for all the videos to help you make the most of your painting journey. And if you'd like a little bit more, we also have channel memberships with loads of perks for you to enjoy. So welcome on board. Click subscribe and turn on notifications, and let's learn to paint watercolour. Hi everyone, Diane here. Welcome to my studio. Hope everybody's well. Today I have been prevaricating all morning. I am under a fair amount of pressure at the moment to get a whole load of videos done because I have to go to England in a few days for a fortnight to go to the dentist. Isn't that exciting? As I think I've mentioned this before. So anyway, that's creeping up on me, actually rather rushing up at a speed of knots right now. And I know that I have got to paint about 10 videos in the next few days. So what do you think I've spent all morning doing? Yes, you're right, procrastinating. I've vacuumed the floor, I've made some soup, I've rearranged the furniture, I've walked the dogs, I've looked online at various ideas, I've paralysed myself with indecision about what paints to use, and if I don't do something now, it's going to be lunchtime and then I'll fall asleep for the rest of the day, so I had better get going. Now, I am going to paint, I have decided I'm going to paint a wheelbarrow with some flowers in, and I thank Denise Zimmer for the idea of doing this. It was her suggestion, and I know she's been waiting impatiently, if Denise can be impatient, which I doubt, for me to actually go ahead and do this. So here we go, Denise. I'm painting a wheelbarrow, or at least first of all, I'm going to have a go at drawing one. And I don't think this is something I've done very often. How many of you have painted a wheelbarrow on the piece of paper? I mean, not actually in real life. You might have painted a wooden wheelbarrow and Annie Sloaned it or done something like that. But painted a wheelbarrow on a piece of paper, no. Well, here we go. I've got to draw a circle. If you can't draw circles, then find something to draw round, like something round like this, only a bit smaller. But if you think you have got a good eye, then just eyeball it, and then so that's that. I'm working on a piece of Clairefontaine Etival watercolour paper. This is not 100% cotton. It's cellulose, and it's, I think, quite good. I'm just trying to imagine where the leg might go here. This is going to be, I'm cutting out the perspective here. I'm not worrying at all about perspective. This is a sort of flattened version, if you see what I mean. So I'm deliberately doing this out of perspective because that way it's easier, and I think it could be a little bit less stressful, and it could be a little bit more artistic, shall we say. So here's the side of the wheelbarrow, and we need the other handle over here. And so then that's that. I hope everyone can see that. A few people have said recently that they couldn't see my sketch, and I've referred them to the website where for free you can download your the sketch, so you need never miss out on the sketch. You can download the actual sketch to trace. The traceable is there. And then, of course, other people say, oh, well, I don't like the pencil marks. So you can't really win, actually. This is the way it goes. Then in here, we're going to put flowers. And I don't know what kind of flowers, but we will have some things leaning out like this, and we'll have some things draping over like this, and some things projecting up, and some blossoms in the middle here like this. And so on. So we'll develop that as we go. This is just a sort of rough indication of where the flowers are going to be. And I mean, if you wanted to make it a little bit more cutesy, you could put a kitten or a milk churn, or a flower pot. I mean, it might look quite nice with a flower pot here, for example. You could stick a flower pot in, big one, perhaps like that. And it could have, so for example, the handle of a trowel sticking out of it, something like that, maybe. I don't know, whatever. A hole there and a piece of leather thong to hang it up with. And that might be out of proportion, I don't know. I'd have to think about that later. But anyway, does it matter? No. When you've got to paint 10 videos in 3 days, you begin to wonder what matters. Anyway, what does matter? So that'll do. And then I have to think about my colour scheme. And then I have to think about, am I going to paint the wheelbarrow first, or am I going to paint the flowers first? Okay, so I'm going to use mostly, I think, probably this Viviva colour pan set. Viviva make the colour sheets, which are quite nice. They're very strong colours, and this is basically the colours that are in that box there. So I'll probably go for pinks and yellows and things like that, and we'll see how that goes. So I'm going to start then with some flowers in the wheelbarrow, and we're going to try doing this fairly loose. We'll do the roses or flowers of whatever kind they are in a fairly loose way, and this is some kind of pink, and I'm going to loosen that off a little bit to more of a apricot colour. I'm going to use it, make it quite loose, quite, what's the word, pale, relatively speaking. So just to test it, we need a test sheet. That looks a bit too much like dried blood. That's better. So we just drop in some flowers into our dots of water, and we'll let that do its thing. Yes, and then maybe maybe some quinacridone gold, perhaps. There's a very large bunch of flowers there, so we'll let that dry a bit, and meanwhile I will get a regular brush, not the Tintoretto brush that I started off with, and I'm going to paint the wheelbarrow. Let's do the tyre in a kind of brown colour. The tyres on our wheelbarrows are black, but that's not particularly scenic, has to be said. And I don't know. Let's have the wheel hub in the same colour. While we're at it, I might paint this flower pot in a nice orange. Give it a nice complementary blue shadow underneath, and similarly underneath the wheelbarrow, like that. And that's made me think probably that blue would be the best colour for the wheelbarrow itself. I was wondering about that. So I'm just going to indicate a blue, and you can come in with another layer once it's dry. Then maybe we'll make the handles on the red side. So there we are. And I'm not going to do hundreds and thousands of spokes. I'm just going to do a few. I'll put another one on there when that's dry. Just put the shadow inside there, and then we want a nice wooden handle for this trowel that's in here, so I'll just do that. There we are. And what I'm going to do right now then, apart from just adding a tiny bit more blue here, is I'm going to let it dry. So I'll see you in a minute. Okay, so that's dry, so let's just see what happens next, shall we? I don't have anything particular in mind here, so let's just go with the good old flow. And I'm going to just sort of do some rosy type things. I'm not sure if you really get roses in a wheelbarrow, but whatever. This is where you can just do whatever you fancy. I got kind of stuck because I was thinking, or maybe I should just do lavender or something like that, because that could look quite nice. I don't know. Anyway, I didn't in the end. So let's do some, but I might do in the future, some flowers with petals coming out like this, perhaps. This is quinacridone gold, and that's alizarin crimson. And then maybe some lilac or something. And we could have some sort of blue coming out here, perhaps. Some nice violet there, and maybe a bit more bluish. I'm hesitating about putting green in because it can be so killing, green. So it's kind of nice to have some blues and violets instead of green. Let's get some more gold perhaps and have another flower here. No, I don't like that. It doesn't look right. It needs to be pinker. And I need to try to remember to vary the sizes a bit, because if you do everything the same size, it doesn't look good. I'm putting in some shadows using quinacridone violet. And we'll also put in a little bit more mauve into these things out here. And I think we probably want something coming over here. Just put in a little bit of emphasis on the edge of the wheelbarrow there. And some shadow down here to give it a little bit more shape perhaps. And I do need to use some grey again and put in the other. Might need to be a bit darker than that. So let's see what we've got here. Here are the two spokes on the wheel. Maybe a little bit more violet. Can pop into the centres here a little bit more. Darken them up a little bit. It's still bleeding quite nicely, so that's good. And maybe a little bit of bluey green. Just put some leaves behind the red because the complement of red is green. Which is why roses and things like that look so good in the garden. So we'll just use some of this bluish green because it's a bluish red. A little bit up there. To be a bit careful, you don't want to overdo it, and then you don't want to underdo it either. I think that's probably enough. I want to leave some white in there as well. And now we'll just come back into these flowers here which are more or less dry, and we just put the petals in on top, and we'll let that little bit of more colour on those little roses. Okay, and then I had the greyish blue shadow, so we'll just put another layer of shadow there, a little bit under here to darken the flower pots, just a little bit down one side. Okay, I'm going to let that dry and then evaluate it and see if anything else needs to be done. Okay, so there we are, that's more or less dry. And I'm just going to put in some white dots in the centres of some of the flowers to just lighten it up a little bit in some places. Don't want to go completely mad with that because it can look worse rather than better, but in any areas where you think you've perhaps lost a little bit of light, you can come in with some white. This is white ink. You could use white gouache or Dr. Martens. No, is it PH? Dr. Martens, whatever. Oh, and I tell you what we should do, which I haven't done, excuse me, is to pop in a little birdie sitting here. Put the legs in first. Otherwise you always do it too low. I do. So put the legs in first. And then draw the body and the tail going up. A little beak. Little eye. There we are. Let me just brush that off. And he's only little, isn't he? So he won't take much time to colour him in. So we give him a little red breast, like that. And grey-brown back, because that's a robin. And then they have, this is an English robin. He's visiting his American cousins. And then we need his legs. We do those with ink. I'll rub out the pencil mark later. There we are. One robin sitting on the trowel in the flower pot beside the watering can, no, wheelbarrow, which is full of flowers. Hope you enjoyed that, and I will see you again soon. If you did enjoy it, give me a like and subscribe, turn on notifications. Don't forget you can get the sketch for this from dianeantone.com for free, no charge for that. Just pop on over there, where we also have a tip jar if you feel that way inclined, or you can join the channel membership for a couple of euros or dollars a month, and there's a few extra bits and pieces that you get as specials being a member. So I'll let you go now, and I'll see you again soon. Bye now, everybody. Bye-bye.